Your mind is either your greatest prison or your greatest power. This is Think and Grow Forever. I am Toya D, and this is a space where we break the chains of the mind, we reclaim our identity, and we build the life we were always meant to live. Everything I teach here is built on one truth: master yourself, free your mind, and prosper forever. Now, let's get into today's message. There's a version of you that you have outgrown. You can feel it. The old patterns that don't fit anymore. The old stories that feel too small. The old version of yourself that you keep slipping back into, even when you consciously want something different. And the reason letting go feels so hard, the reason you keep going back, is really not weakness. It's truly because that old identity is not just a mindset. It is woven into your nervous system, your relationships, your daily habits, and your sense of safety. So today we're talking about what it actually takes to detach from an old identity. Not just mentally shifting, but truly release the woman you were, so the woman you are becoming has room to exist. Here is the truth that most personal development content skips over. You cannot build a new identity on top of an old one and expect it to hold. It does not work that way. You can add all the affirmations, all the vision boards, all the morning routines, and still find yourself reverting back. Still finding yourself thinking the old thoughts, making the old choices, attracting the old experiences. And you will wonder why nothing is changing when you are doing all the things right. And the reason this is, your identity, the old one, is not just a collection of thoughts. It's a full grown ecosystem. It lives in your body as a physical tension and nervous system patterns. So it lives in your relationships as unspoken agreements about who you are. It lives in your environment as visual and sensory triggers that pull you back. It lives in your habits as automatic behaviors that run without your conscious input. You have to realize it lives in your story, the narrative you have been telling about yourself and your life for many years. Detaching yourself from my old identity means you have to dismantle that entire ecosystem. And you have to do it piece by piece with attention. And that is deep work, but it's the work that actually changes everything for you. Now, this is why your old identity feels so safe, even when it hurts. This is the part that trips most women up. Now, the old identity is not just familiar, it's safe. Even when it's painful, even when it's small, even when it's keeping you from everything. I mean, everything you want. Because your nervous system equates familiar with safe. The unknown is a threat, and becoming a new version of yourself is, to your nervous system, one of the most unknown things you can do. So your system will pull you back. It will create discomfort when you start acting differently. It will manufacture reasons why the old way made more sense. It will send you back to old relationships, those old habits, and those old thought patterns. And it's not doing it to hurt you, but just to keep you where it knows how to survive. And here is what makes it even more complex. So, some of your old identities serve you. The woman who made herself small was protecting herself from rejection. The woman who overfunctioned was keeping everything from falling apart. The woman who numbed herself was surviving something that felt unsurvivable. You do not detach from that with shame. You detach it with gratitude and with grief. Because releasing that old identity is a loss, and it deserves to be honored as one. You will have signs that will show you that you outgrown your old identity. So, how do you know it's time? Here are the signs that your old identity is no longer built for the life you are moving toward. The first sign is chronic internal conflict. You want one thing but keeping yourself and allowing yourself to choose another. You set intentions and then you sabotage them. You feel like two women living in one body. The one you are trying to become and the one you keep defaulting to. Now that is a battle that a lot of us go through when we're trying to elevate ourselves. That tension is not confusion. That is growth pressure. That is the new identity pushing against the walls of the old one. The second sign is that your old relationships feel misaligned. Not because people are bad, but because who you were in those relationships no longer matches who you are becoming. Now, the conversation begin to feel surface level. The dynamic feels like it requires you to shrink. You love them, but you feel yourself disappearing when you are around them. The third sign is that your old story no longer fits. You have been telling a version of your life, who you are, where you come from, what happened to you, and it used to feel true to you. But lately, it feels like a costume, like you wearing a mask, like you being fake, like you are a fraud, like you are wearing someone else's narrative. That is your identity evolution speaking to you. The fourth sign is unexplained restlessness. Now, a deep knowing that something needs to change, even when you cannot name it exactly what it is, that restlessness is not anxiety. It is your expanded self knocking at you, trying to get your attention, telling you there is more, telling you it's time to make that change. So, detaching from an old identity is not a single decision. It's really a process that happens across 5 layers, and you have to work all 5 of them, not just one mentally. So, the first layer is the story. This is where most people start and stop at. Changing the narrative you tell about yourself and your life. But it goes way deeper than just flipping negative self talk to positive. It means that you consciously examine the entire story, the origin of the story, the struggle story, the identity story, and you asking what you want to keep, what you want to release, and what you want to rewrite. Your story is powerful. Make sure it's one that serves the woman you are becoming. The second layer is the body. Now, your old identity is held in your body. In the way you hold your shoulders, in the tightness in your chest, in the way you physically shrink in certain rooms or around certain people. Now, releasing an old identity requires somatic work. It requires intentional movement, breath work, physical practices that signal to your nervous system that a new pattern is being laid down. So, You cannot just think your way out of a body level identity. You have to move through it. The third layer is your environment. Your environment is constantly cueing your own identity. The physical space you inhabit, the visual reminders of who you were, the objects that are tied to your old chapters, all of it sends signals to your brain about who you are. So you're going to have to audit your environment. What in your space is holding you in the old identity, that old story that you were telling? What needs to be released? You have to reorganize or reimagine to reflect the woman you are becoming. The fourth layer is relationships. Now, this is the hardest layer because some of your relationships were built around your old identity. And when you change, those relationships feel the shift, even if no one says anything. Some people in your life have a vested interest in you staying the same. And it's not malicious, but it's because your growth requires them to look at their own self. So you got to be compassionate, be loving, and be very clear with yourself about which relationships are growing with you and which ones are anchoring you to who you were. So the fifth layer is your daily decisions. Identity is not built in the biggest moment. It is built in those small daily decisions that most people overlook. So think about how you spend your first hour, what you consume, how you talk to yourself, what you tolerate, what you say yes to, what you say no to. Every small decision is either reinforcing that old identity or building a new one. There is no neutral ground. Every day you are voting for one version of yourself or the other. So you have to honor the woman that you were. And that's going to be a grief of letting go. And I want to spend a moment here because this part is almost never talked about. Releasing that old identity involves grief. And it's real grief. Because that version of you, even if it was limited, even if it was one you was ready to release, you have to realize she kept you alive. She navigated things that were hard for you. She carried things that were heavy for you. She showed up even when she was running on empty. So that part of you, she deserves to be honored before she is released. It's not something you have to cling to. It's not something you have to mourn indefinitely, but you have to honor it. So if you find yourself feeling sad as you step into a new version of yourself, that is not a sign of you moving in the wrong direction. That is love. That is your humanity. Let yourself feel it and then keep moving forward. The new identity. The new identity will expand the version of you. It requires things the old one did not. She requires you to tolerate visibility when you're used to hiding. She requires you to hold your own worth when you're used to seeking validation. She's going to require you to sit with uncertainty when you are used to controlling everything. And she's going to require you to receive love, receive success, abundance, and rest when you are used to only giving and striving. She will feel uncomfortable at first. Not because she is wrong for you, but because she is new to you. And new always feels like rest before it feels like home. Stay with her anyway. She is worth the discomfort of becoming. The woman you are becoming is not waiting for you at the end of some perfect transformation journey. She is really available to you right now. In the next decision you make, in the next thought you choose, in the next moment you decide to honor yourself over that old pattern. You do not have to have it all figured out. And I'm going to say that again. You do not have to have it all figured out. I still don't have it all figured out. You just have to be willing to grieve what was, willing to release what no longer fits, willing to become someone your old self would not fully recognize. That is not a loss. That is evolution. And you are ready for it. Drop in the comments, what part of your old identity are you ready to release? I am down there reading every single one. Share this with a woman who is in the middle of her own becoming. Subscribe if this is the work you are here to do. And I will see you in the next one. Remember, true security and stability come from within, not outside of you. Everything you need is already there. You just have to do the work to access it. If this message moves something in you, subscribe, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and drop a comment below telling me what chain are you ready to break. This is Think and Grow Forever with Toya D. I see you in the next one.